All right, today we're looking at how the anti-bear trap really fails in your gun. Now, I have some very old videos, and what's happening is, people are getting angry because, well, I need a more practical experience, and it is time for me to follow up. So we have two broken trigger assemblies here. So nothing on this video is going to be theoretical. Both of these broke in my 1999. So now the old timers who are polite and helpful made it clear that this thing, because of the anti-bear trap, and we'll get into how that works, it tears your trigger assembly apart. And you can take a look at that and just tell that this thing looks like it's been stomped on and kicked around. Okay, so the multiple breakpoints on this. Let's take a look here. You have one here where the torsion spring hooks, and we'll take a look at that, where the torsion spring actually rests on here. The safety is falling apart, and then on the other side, it is broken off at the corner right here, compared to this other one that's not as destroyed. You see that one looks normal, and again, that corner there is broken off. Okay, so the old timers are right. It does literally, you can't salvage that. So let's go get into this. Okay, so in my older videos, and I had not yet had this actually happen, I focus on the anchor point for the anti-bear trap right here. And what happens, that does eventually not work anymore. But the old timers made clear it's because this fails right here, just like what you see here. So this is the torsion spring, and that is supposed to anchor right there. Supposed to anchor right under there and form an L shape that puts tension on this, so that when you cock it, you hear that ratcheting. Okay, you hear that. Okay, so now what is the anti-bear trap really for? Because I've had a lot of kids contact me, and they've been helpful, to be honest. But I've had them contact me and say, well, I think they did it because it makes the gun sound cool. Well, okay, well, if you like the sound of it, that's one way to look at it. But really what it's for is, before the anti-bear trap, okay, before they put that on there, here's your lever, is this was like being turned into a rat trap. So what would happen is, okay, so kids, just being curious, what they would do, they would grab the stock of their gun, they would pull this thing up short of cocking it, because you only had one click. They'd pull it up and then let it go, let it rip, and hit their hand to see what happened. And that may sound goofy and crazy, but kids don't necessarily always have a sense of danger. And I talked to one guy that said he did that as a kid. He didn't do it twice. So if you can imagine the pain from that. So he pulled up at least halfway up and then let it fly. And without that anti-bear trap right here, that's what used to happen. So as I've said in the past, Daisy's heart was in the right place. We just have some complications. Not a big deal. Okay. So in my case, these triggers broke in a few thousand shots. The rest of the gun is fine, and it's not that big of a deal as long as you know what's happening. And we'll talk about where to get the triggers. There's three good places to get this trigger, and just plug it into your gun. All right. So so we've been over that fact that, okay, the old timers want me to make it clear that this fails here. A piece of plastic snaps off, and then you end up with a situation to where your torsion spring is just dangling, just like you see here inside your gun, and it's not doing what it's supposed to do. Okay, so now what happens to this anti-bear trap arm when there's no longer tension put on it? That catch point fails. It just really doesn't do its job anymore. Like they don't want me to be confusing. This is broken, and that cannot do its job anymore, not effectively. So what happens, this drops inside your gun, and then when you come over the top with your power plant or your plunger, you just hear the one click. That's the way it used to be, like the 499 still is. You just hear the one click and pull the trigger. So kids have been contacting me saying, well, it's not ratcheting anymore, and that really bothers them, and that would be no big deal if it would still shoot. But what ends up happening many times when they go, you hold your gun and you turn your gun up to cock it, this flips up and over that catch point. See that? So now what happens when it actually comes over the catch point? Instead of dipping beneath it, and it technically can still shoot, when it comes over it, when you're cocking the gun, and I had a kid send me a video showing that, what it does, you have to remember the anti-bear trap does not go up the middle of this plate. It hits the edge. This plunger design you see here has been like that for decades with Daisy. So the engineers were pretty smart. They made minimal changes to make this work so that it rides the edge right here. So when you're actually ratcheting, it's actually on the outside of that. See that? It's right here. So what happens? Okay. So instead of having the tension needed to ratchet, it either drops down, you don't hear any ratcheting, but you can still shoot the gun, or that thing comes over the top. And now this is important. You can't miss this. No other malfunctions like this. You'll try working your lever and you'll do this. When you're working your lever, it really is loud. So, okay, you're not anywhere close to cocking that. You know, you're about in the middle of those ratcheting teeth there. So what that looks like with your lever is, you know, maybe halfway down, something like that, halfway down, but you know you're not anywhere close to cocking it. And it really makes, with you putting leverage on that lever, it really, so it does that. And that's not how it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be there or down here. When this thing's actually functioning correctly, it's supposed to be right here with tension on it, and it goes, and it makes your ratcheting sound that you're familiar with. Okay, so the good news is, okay, now you know what that looks like. And I apologize, in those older videos, I just did not know yet because I hadn't broken, well, I didn't break them, but I hadn't had 2 triggers break, which the old timers make clear. It's going to happen. It's not your fault. And let's be fair to Daisy. They're trying to protect the kids, but after a few thousand shots, you know, figure you may have to change this out. It's not a big deal. Okay, so 1, when it doesn't make any ratcheting noise, you know that's a good time to take your stock off and take the trigger out and replace it. But make sure that you pull your trigger. So if you've cocked it, pull your trigger so it's out here. You never want to take it apart when it's here. So, okay, so it's not ratcheting, you're concerned, okay, pull your trigger, fire the gun, and then take your stock off and get this out. If it's the case where you hear that grinding and your lever is obviously not going full extension, and it's going to really be loud inside your gun, again, okay, just put your lever back up, take off your stock, and take out your trigger. So anyway, so I just wanted to get that out. There's nothing theoretical in this video. So definitely after having 2 triggers break, and this one's really a mess. And basically definitely in line with what the old timers were saying. Yeah, so it just happens. And you know, I went thousands of shots before that happened, but this is what it looks like in your gun. And you obviously want to get it out of there. So, oh, and so where you want to buy either from Daisy, Copal 327, or you want to strip it from a Daisy Buck, because a Daisy Buck has a trigger just like this. This trigger is just like that, and it'll transfer over it. So that is one option to buy, let's say a Buck from Walmart, and just take the trigger out. Okay, all right, thank you very much.